Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday morning to you all. I hope you guys are waking up and feeling good out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and new weekend out there so far. We got a few things to talk about in this morning's video, but I'm not going to hold you guys up too long. But we're going to speak first on what's to come over the last several days of February and getting into the first several days into March. Of course, as I always say, the further out we get, the less confidence we have on what's going to happen. But I am watching a period of time as we get into March that could produce a stronger storm system. So I am going to speak on that, but I'll speak on everything leading up to that point also, and we'll just try to figure out what's next. I do think we're entering somewhat of a quieter period as far as what we've been talking about with the winter storms, all the Arctic air. I think the country will begin to moderate as far as temperatures as a whole. But I do think things will get interesting, just like it always does with the weather here in the next several days. So it might take till March, but we're here to try to figure all that out. After we get done discussing kind of the longer range discussion, we will speak on today's weather and break down what's going to happen to kickstart your weekend. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. As things slow down, personally, I'm able to spend a little bit more time on the comments and questions, things like that. And I can tell you guys, I'm very happy things are slowing down. The growth has been just absolutely unreal over the last several weeks, but it was nice just finding myself yesterday not looking at my phone much, not updating social media. It was just really nice, and thankfully, I'm when I started this process, it was tough to kind of go from one extreme to the other, meaning going from extremely busy, just go to all of a sudden it cuts off. I had a hard time with the ups and downs as I've grown with social media and just understanding how everything works. I've been able to manage kind of the highs and the lows a lot better, and it's been really awesome. So, but with all that being said, let's get rocking and rolling. So we're going to start this off by discussing the latest 8 to 14 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, and this takes us from, I never can remember, from the 1st of March through the 7th of March. So it takes us through, the first pretty much week of March. And I do think between now and the end of this month, I think most of the country will warm up. There's no huge Arctic outbreaks, and there's no, I would say, dramatic warm ups as far as 80s and low 90s like we saw for a period back in earlier in February. But I do think as a whole the country begins to warm up. But speaking a little bit past this time frame that I just mentioned, below average temperatures are we're thinking this is going to happen. The confidence is higher in below average temperatures if you live in the blue shaded area. Now, the darker the blue, the more higher the confidence. So if I click on this, there's a 60% chance up here in New England and sections of the Great Lakes region of temperatures being below normal in this time frame. And I think that's right. I think it fits the pattern that we're about to discuss. And just in the gray color, that's around, you might as well say that's a chance at average temperatures for this time of the year. Now we're starting to get into March, average highs and lows temperature-wise are, of course, increasing. So, don't compare these outlooks as if we were in January, but going for above average temperatures here. But I will kind of jump to this 6 to 10 day outlook. I mean, well above average temperatures looks like is going to occur. And this doesn't stand for well above average temperatures. Really, once you get into this kind of brick red here, that's just where your confidence is higher and above average temperatures. I think sometimes even I can look at this the wrong way and just think the darker the blues, the colder compared to average is going to be. It's really the confidence level on one way or the other, below average temperatures or above average temperatures. That's the way we are supposed to look at it. But anyways, looking at the precipitation outlook in the 8 to 14 day range, March 1 to March 7, they are leaning towards above average precipitation along the east coastline and a little bit higher along the deep south, a 40% chance of precipitation being above normal. Now, I just want to remind you guys very briefly that we're about to get into March. The severe weather type stuff is about to ramp up probably in the south. So as we make that transition to talking a lot of winter weather, it starts to blend a lot more into severe weather. And there's some analogs that people that are way smarter than I am are pointing to. This could be This could compare to some of some of the bad years as far as severe weather, and there's even been some analogs that point to that, infamous year of 2011, and folks across the South know all about that year as far as severe weather, especially Alabama. So just we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Be careful, watching these long-range forecasts, trying to predict, tornado outbreaks. We always have a couple a year, but just know that we're starting to enter that time of the year. But just discussing what we're seeing out there as far as operational runs. We'll show you the Euro and then this morning's GFS. Is there any systems we're starting to lock onto? And is any of these systems look potent? Do they look significant? So we'll start off Sunday evening. So starting off tomorrow evening, we do have a little Gulf low down here, bringing some heavy rain across the Gulf states. I do think it'll kind of get sunk southward and really just bring rain and storms to Florida. And at the same time, we do got a clipper flying up through Canada. Not a big deal at all. A lot of warm air floods just about the entire country. So we're not going to see a lot of blue show up on your screen unless you live out in the Rockies. But here comes another clipper kind of flying across the Great Lakes region. And this really just brings snow for like Canada. In fact, the low actually swings north of, I would say, through the interior areas of New England and brings a lot of rain for certain areas, maybe a little bit of snow for the Northeast. But anyways, and no point in talking on that system a whole lot because it doesn't look like it's going to be a significant storm system. We start to get into late in the next week, and I think a trough digs down, a cold front with energy associated with it. You can see that 540 line digging down across the eastern U.S. So this will bring a shot of cold air for next weekend also. And we could have some northwest flow with that. Cat hanging out by my feet, that's Kylo, my black cat. He likes to move around a lot. So if you see me kind of move my head like that one way or the other, it's me getting distracted by my cat. But as we're starting to get at that week time frame, so we're getting into about 1 week from today. And, 1 week from today is March 1. I think a bigger trough digs down, bigger dip in the jet, and there could be a stronger piece of northern stream energy associated with it. And I think that this dip here is going to happen. I think this will bring cold air for next weekend. You can see all the blue lines jumbled up together. It tells us there's a lot of cold air diving down. How far south will that cold air get? And then, it tries to pop some energy off right here. That's about 9-10 days out. It's pretty far out. Tries to throw some snow maybe across the Mississippi Valley. But who knows? That's so far out, it's hard to take it super serious. And then it just shows a lot of cold air beginning to dump into the lower 48. We're getting into that March 5th, the kind of 10th time frame, which is a time frame that I like for something to happen, something more significant to happen, I want to add. And we just got a lot of energy flying around, tries to develop a powerful 995 storm system, 995 low. This is getting into the morning of March 6th, but remember, this is 300 hours out, pretty far out, but it has that powerful storm system that I'm watching. And then getting past that, it doesn't really matter. Even at 300 hours out, it doesn't matter. It's going to flip around so much. But I want to show you how the GFS likes this time period too. Just remember, none of this stuff is a forecast. I mean, this Gulf low down here this weekend is a forecast. I mean, it's going to rain. It's going to start this today across areas of the western deep south. Same thing with the GFS. There's some clipper northern stream action kind of flying through. We're getting into Wednesday. There's a clipper, a little bit more cold air associated with it compared to the Euro. This will bring some snow. We'll swing through, and here comes that shot of cold air towards the end of this work week. You see that 540 line, that first blue line, dipping a little bit further south, dipping the jet. Energy associated with it. I still don't think there's going to be a powerful storm system with this, but I do think that it could bring a little energy with it. And then we start to get between that day 7 and day 10 time frame. So we're starting to get a couple days into March. A little bit of a ridge flex here. Tries to throw a decent, what I call northern stream energy. And when I say that, guys, that means that there's a lot of energy flying up through, let's see. There's a lot of energy flying up through here. When you got energy kind of shooting through this area, that's a northern stream energy. You start to see energy down here, southern stream energy. You get some sort of connection, then we can have more of a powerful storm system like we see, at times. But we're starting to get into that time frame that I'm watching between the 5th and the 10th. And here comes a 997 low shooting across the Mid-South. This connects the dots, and therefore we got a nor'easter that forms, but it's not a forecast. But this is the morning of the 6th of March, which we could definitely get nor'easters. And we really have not had a true one this winter. If you think about it, we really haven't. So is March going to be the year? I mean, March going to be the month that we have one? It's very possible. This is the 6th, and I'm telling you, the 5th through the 10th of March, if Mitch had to take a shot at something to happen, that would be, as far as something more of an high impact storm system, significant storm, I would say that is a time period to watch. And you get past that, a lot of cold air sinks down, and who knows what's going to happen after that. So if you look at the lower pressure, which is going to be indicated in the blues that you see on the screen, like, this and this and that, and you compare it against the warmer colors, the yellows and the orange and even some red that shows up on your screen. This is a ridge. This is ridging. This is troughing. Troughing in the blue normally indicates a storm system. It's lower pressure. It's literally what it means on the 500 millibar chart here. And then the warmer colors is higher pressure, a ridge, blue, a trough, a dip in the jet, storm system, cold air that follows behind it. So as I'm showing you this is the Euro ensemble. It shows what's going on pretty well in my opinion. And this is getting into the end of this coming week. Okay, it shows the blue that dramatically just pops up, spawns out of nowhere across the eastern U.S., ridge spike across the western portion of the country. And if you compare the 6 to 10 day outlook with this map, it makes sense, showing above average temperatures where the ridging is and a shot of cold air in the eastern U.S. And that's what this will do. It'll bring probably a shot of cold air, but I don't think there's going to be a powerful storm system at the end of this coming week. I mean, we could trend to something more significant, but I'm not buying it yet. And then maybe kind of a reinforcing trough that kind of digs right here, but I don't think it'll be a big deal. It's after we get past this little ridge spike across the east, a trough starts to dig down. You can see it into the western and central U.S., and then there's just a true connection to the Arctic. So we get to about 300 hours out, pretty far out, several days into March at this point. I'm starting to really like this time frame for something to happen. We're getting this ridge spike up into Alaska. You don't have much ridging going on in the western sections of the lower 48. So I would say that this is more of a negative PNA instead of a positive. Positive meaning there's a ridge out west. Negative meaning there's troughing out west. But this is what you would consider a negative EPO, ridging up into Alaska. This will allow for the dislodgement of cold air. And then you see all the blue, okay, across, no. You see all the blue. Come on, I'm clicking all the wrong buttons this morning. All the blue across this area indicating lower pressure. And you got a true connection from the Arctic. So you got a cold air source diving down into what's probably some sort of active pattern down here indicating the lower pressure. Okay. So we get all this off your screen and we keep going. And sure enough, you look at the date up here, the 7th, 6th, 8th of March. I'm telling you, something is going to happen in this time frame. I think something more significant. Is that going to be a nor'easter, a severe weather outbreak, a big rain event? What is it going to be? A big wind event? But I mean, that just, to me, I know it's pretty far out, but something is going to happen in this time frame. And if you compare it up against the GFS ensemble, maybe it's not done running yet, so we might have to actually jump to the OOZ. It's the O6Z. There's that shot later this work week into this weekend of cold air. Trough digs down temporarily. It's a very sharp trough. It doesn't hang around long. And then we start to get between this day 7 and 10 time frame, so a few to several days into March. And same thing, guys. We start to get about 288, 300 hours out, and there's a wholesale trough digging down to the entire lower 48. And it looks very similar, about as similar as you could ask for when comparing model guidance this far out to the Euro ensemble. Big trough digging down across almost the entire country. I mean, there's a little ridge flex across the south central U.S. and southwest, but something's going to happen in this time frame here. Something is going to happen right into here in this X area. We're going to have some energy diving down, maybe turn it into a nor'easter. I doubt that. I don't know if we can get that with, negative heights up here. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but something's going to happen in this time frame. Just trying to figure it out. And one thing that we can sit here and look at, and I didn't plan on doing this, but I'm going to do it here, is if we look at the snow signal. Let's see. I hadn't even looked at this. Let's see how it increases. Let's look at 2-day increments. So this is in 48-hour periods. Okay, so you're going to see a footprint of snow show up on your screen. And don't focus on how much it is necessarily because we're really far out, but just focus on where it's at. So we're starting to get And to that time frame I'm watching, and we are getting into the March 7th time frame, and there's a bit of a signal for snow kind of past 300 hours out in the northeast. But this could increase, it could decrease. We're just not quite sure. So, but looking at temperatures compared to average, if we move this forward, this is the Euro Ensemble, you can see that most of the country is going to be above average temperature-wise as we're getting into the middle of next week. This is Wednesday. We get into Thursday, and then we get into the last day of February, 28th, and most of the central and western U.S. is above average temperature-wise. So this, the orange is kind of the burnt-looking colors, basically. I mean, that's where you're above average temperature-wise. The blues, the greens, and maybe some purples you see on your screen, that's up below average temperatures. So this trough digging down will cool you back down in the eastern U.S. This weekend, but I don't think this will be a huge shot of cold air. But then, you're starting to get in closer to the day 9, day 10, March 3rd, March 4th, a shot of cold air hits the northeast. A little bit of warm up in the middle of the country. But if you notice, you go all the way to the end of the run, past 300 hours out. It's like the evening of March 6th, 7th, 8th. All right, most of the country starts to get below average again. And I just think that, we're going to have something that probably happens in this time frame, whether it's going to be a high-impact winter storm, a mixture of everything, not quite sure. But we are watching that time frame. It's nothing to be concerned about at all at this point, though. But today's weather, it's pretty quiet. We got some energy, moving into the Pacific Northwest, a little northern stream energy in the form of some light, moderate snow. Shooting down here, it's the Great Lakes region. Shows some flurries down here in the Ohio Valley areas of the Midwest. Not sure if that's hitting the ground. It does show a little bit of a wintry mix down here in Texas. There was some winter weather advisories down there. Let me know what you're seeing. And an increase in moisture is beginning here in Louisiana and surrounding states. And I do think Louisiana will be the highlight state for a lot of rain over the next 48 hours. Watches, warnings, and advisories. There are winter weather advisories that do expire in the next 3 hours, and this is just for some additional ice accumulation, some freezing drizzle that's occurring down here. But most of the country's quiet, guys. Some winter weather advisories still off Ontario. My buddy Bryce and his girlfriend Paige, some of you may follow them. They storm chase everything. They're like the weather couple, I think. They're awesome. But they've been covering everything this winter. They were covering in a couple small towns that got hit by feet of snow off Ontario. And their live feed yesterday was just incredible how much snow is on the ground. It's kind of a story not getting talked about as much, but these areas right here, like kind of in this region, just crushed with snow. Maybe I'm kind of doing my cursor around the wrong area, but man, you guys just have been leveled with snow. And it was crazy. They were actually talking to somebody on the live feed from one of these small towns up in New York. And the guy said that this is some of the worst lake effect snow they've seen ever. And he's lived there his entire life. He says normally they have, and you guys that live in the lake effect snow belts, can speak for this. Normally you'll have a little bit of a thaw, but you didn't have much this year. So nothing really had a chance to melt. So hope you guys are hanging tough up there. We do have some flood watches and some winter weather advisories up here. We even have some avalanche warnings, and that's because there's a lot of warm air that's going to move into the western U.S. and it's just gonna you're gonna have snow melting and stuff like that. So things are gonna have an opportunity to start sliding a little bit out there. But the excessive rainfall outlook, there is a small risk of flooding in the Pacific Northwest. And the chance for thunderstorms, there is a shot at some thunderstorms down here in southeast Texas, Louisiana. Not a huge deal at all, though. Southeast, pretty quiet. Quiet, nice day of weather. Still chilly, but nothing compared to the last couple days. You have a lot of snow melts in southeast Virginia and northeast North Carolina. I'm sure your snowpack took a hit yesterday. People don't realize how brutal the mid to late February sun angle is compared to if you get a snowstorm in December and January. It can be 15 degrees outside and you're wondering why in the world is the snow melting? And it's just because it's solar radiation. I mean, and sometimes your soil temperatures are just warmer. And you got to remember, in these areas that got 10, 12 inches of snow, several inches of snow, you guys were in the 70s. Even a couple areas hit 80 degrees a couple weeks ago. So But a lot of moisture is going to continue to build across the western deep south, but not really affecting the southeast much. This will start to get into Mobile. We'll speak more on this when we get to the south central time frame. But nothing really going on in the southeast today. The northeast kind of the same. We are going to continue just to have some light snow showers and flurries flying around. Then some energy will kind of swing down here for the interior northeast New England area, deliver some more light snow overnight, and you're probably waking up to a lot of snow shower activity across the northeast tomorrow, but nothing substantial, I would say. But the south central U.S., got cats everywhere. South central U.S., we're going to have an increase of that moisture down here. It's going to be a rainy day across Houston, starting to move into Lake Charles. Rain is beginning to move scattered showers into New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and it'll make it all the way to Jackson by daybreak tomorrow, most likely. And tomorrow morning will certainly be a washout in these areas down here for sure. And this is rainfall between now and Monday morning. A couple inches of rain is possible. An inch around Houston, Baton Rouge, New Orleans. A couple inches of rain in Lake Charles, around 2. So a good bit of rain in this little isolated area. This system is unable to really get north due to pressing heights to the north, so it's kind of staying south. But the north central U.S., quiet weather. Some of that energy will swing in out of Canada over Lake Superior. So you will get some burst of snow maybe later this evening into the overnight hours that could deliver some light snowfall accumulations, and then maybe another piece of energy starting to get into Sunday. And then the western U.S., most of you guys are quiet, but there's going to be just a huge surge of moisture later this afternoon to this evening for Washington, Oregon. This will start to overspread Idaho and then western Montana as you're getting into Sunday morning. It's a lot of energy here, but there's not a lot of cold air to work with. So most of this will just be rain, and it'll be a soaking rain over the next 24 hours. This is rainfall totals where you got flood watches. For now in the next 2 days. I mean, Seattle, even the areas that do not squeeze out as much moisture as your surrounding environment with the higher elevations. Seattle down to Portland, Salem, Eugene, over 1.5 to 2 inches of rain is likely. So a good bit of rain with this, a lot of rain in these areas. So snowfall, you really got to get higher up in elevation. But temperatures today, it's warming up. You're getting a big thaw now. You're even getting above freezing now for areas of the northeast, but still hanging on to some colder temperatures in certain areas. But you're starting to get a big thaw up here into the northern terrain of the country, starting to warm up well above freezing. We're starting to get kind of late in winter now, so your average highs and lows are starting to steadily climb. Man, I lost my voice. The western U.S. is warming on up too. The middle of the country is getting into the 50s, even some low 60s. All the way up into like South Dakota. So looking pretty good. So that's all I got. Once again, I just want to thank y'all for the support over the last several weeks. I know I just already said that at the beginning of the video, but I do appreciate it all. As far as the Bible devotions, I am going to start doing that 2 to 3 times a week. I'm going to bump it up a day. And excited to do that. I've gotten a lot of good feedback with that, and was not able to answer any comments from yesterday's morning's video, but I'm going to get caught up with that this weekend and just get it going. But stay tuned. Probably sometime this weekend I'm going to do one of my personal videos. I just haven't had time to do it over the last week, just recapping everything. They are sending me my silver play button for 100,000 subscribers. If you're not familiar with that on YouTube, when a YouTuber hits 100,000 subscribers, they get a silver play button, and it's basically a nice plaque that YouTube sends you. And I'm very excited. The thing that stinks is I don't really have anywhere great to put it behind me, but hey, who cares, right? But love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great beginning to your weekend, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.